Your phone is literally redesigning your brain, and not in a good way. I'm not being dramatic. Scientists have actually studied this, and what they found should genuinely make you stop and think about the last time you sat somewhere without reaching for your screen. Because here's the thing most people don't realize. It's not that you're lazy. It's not that you have bad discipline. Your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do. It's just being used against you. And once you understand how, everything starts to make sense. Okay, so picture this. You pick up your phone to check the time. Simple enough, right? 18 minutes later, you're watching a video of a golden retriever doing kickflips on a skateboard from 2019. You didn't plan that. Nobody plans that. And yet, here we are. Honestly, the fact that you're watching this right now tells me something about you. Some part of you already knows something's off, and you're ready to actually look at it. So let's get into it. The first thing I want you to understand, and this genuinely blew my mind when I first heard it, your focus isn't broken. It hasn't disappeared. You haven't lost it. Psychology shows that the average person loses focus not because they're undisciplined, but because their brain is hunting for novelty. There's this thing researchers call the novelty bias, and basically what it means is your brain is hardwired to treat new information like a potential reward. Every ping, every notification, every mindless scroll, each one triggers a tiny hit of dopamine, the same chemical behind pleasure, motivation, that feeling of, ooh, something good might happen. Your brain isn't broken. It's just been handed a slot machine and told to sit quietly at a desk. Of course it can't. Think about someone like Maya. She's a graphic designer, genuinely talented, the kind of person who used to get so lost in her work that she'd look up and it'd be dark outside. But at some point, that changed. She'd sit down, open her project, and within like 4 minutes, she'd be on Instagram. Not because she wanted to. It was almost like a reflex, like her hand just went there. And she started to believe, quietly, kind of guiltily, that the creative version of herself had just disappeared. But here's what was actually happening. She hadn't lost her focus at all. She'd just trained her brain to expect an interruption every few minutes. So silence started to feel wrong, uncomfortable, like something was missing. The fix wasn't white-knuckling her way through a willpower battle. It was understanding that her brain needed time to relearn that stillness was safe. The moment she got that, everything shifted. Okay, so here's the one that stopped me cold when I first came across it. Research shows it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully return to a task after a single interruption. 23, not 3, not 5, 23 minutes. So think about your average work session. You check your phone once, 23 minutes gone before your brain's fully back. You check it 4 or 5 times, you might have spent the entire session never actually arriving at real focus, not even once. You're just paddling in the shallow end the whole time, wondering why you feel so exhausted but like you got nothing done. I know that feeling. It's weirdly demoralizing, but it makes so much more sense now, right? And here's what makes it worse. This goes way beyond just productivity. When you're living in this constant state of half attention, you don't just get less done, you actually feel less. Conversations start feeling thinner, meals feel kind of forgettable. You're technically there, but something essential is always just slightly elsewhere. Psychologists call this continuous partial attention, the kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix because you've never actually been fully present long enough to feel alive in your own life. That's heavy, but it's real. All right, here's one I find genuinely fascinating. So your brain has two main modes. There's focused mode, that's when you're actively working through something, locked in, problem solving. And then there's what scientists call the default mode network, which basically kicks in when you're not actively engaged in anything. The daydream mode, the shower thought mode. Most people assume that second mode is basically the brain just wasting time. Nope. That's actually where your brain consolidates learning, makes random creative connections, and processes emotions you've been too busy to feel. Some of your best thinking happens when you're doing nothing, but we've filled every single quiet moment with a screen. The walk to the kitchen, phone. The 2 minutes in the elevator, phone. We're interrupting our own brain before it can finish its phone sentences. There's a version of you that has thoughts worth hearing, but you've got to create enough silence for them to actually surface. Okay, this next one is less about brain science and more about something deeper: your identity. Psychology shows that the behaviors you repeat eventually get absorbed into how you see yourself. If you're constantly reaching for your phone, every moment of boredom, every pause, every flicker of discomfort, at some point, your brain quietly files that away. It starts to build a self-image. I'm the kind of person who can't sit still. I need distraction to function. And once that label sticks, it becomes a self-fulfilling loop. But the flip side works exactly the same way. Every single time you choose to put the phone down, even for 10 minutes, even when every part of you wants to reach for it, you're casting a vote for a different version of yourself. Behavioral psychology calls this identity-based habit formation. You don't fix your habits first and then change how you see yourself. You change how you see yourself, and the habits follow. So tomorrow morning, when you sit with your coffee and don't scroll, you're not just having a calmer morning, you're writing a new story about who you are. And those small stories told every single day, they become the truth. This next one I really want you to sit with. Research on emotional regulation consistently finds that our ability to tolerate boredom is one of the strongest predictors of long-term well-being, creativity, and even how good our relationships are. Because we've been trained by every app, every platform, every piece of technology designed to keep you scrolling, to treat boredom like it's an emergency to be solved. But boredom isn't the enemy. Boredom is actually a signal. It's your brain saying, there's nothing urgently demanding my attention right now, so I'm going to turn inward. And turning inward is where self-awareness actually lives. That's where you start to notice how you're really feeling, what you actually want, what's been sitting heavy on you that you've been too distracted to name. The people who can just be bored for a few minutes without immediately reaching for something, they're not boring people. They're people who are processing, quietly growing. Here's a tiny experiment, and I mean tiny. Next time you feel that automatic reach for your phone out of boredom, just wait 2 minutes. That's it. It might be uncomfortable. Your brain might feel like it's clawing at the walls. But in those 2 minutes, you might find a thought worth thinking, a small, honest piece of yourself that's been waiting for you to just show up. And this brings me to the last thing, and honestly, this is the one that changed how I think about it all. Neuroscience confirms that the ability to sustain attention is one of the most trainable skills a human being has. Your brain rewires, it adapts. Every time you practice focus, even imperfectly, even for short bursts, you're literally strengthening the neural pathways that make focus easier the next time. It's like a muscle. You don't bench press once and get strong. You just have to show up consistently. And the discomfort? It shrinks. So here's where I want to land this. Your attention isn't broken. It's been redirected by systems specifically designed to redirect it. And you have way more power to take it back than you've probably been giving yourself credit for. Start small. Tomorrow morning, 10 minutes, phone down. Not to be productive, just to be present. Notice what comes up. Be curious, not critical. Then do it again the next day. Not perfectly, just consistently. Because every moment of real presence you create is a moment you've taken back from the noise, from the algorithm, from the endless loop that asks nothing of you and quietly gives you very little in return. Your actual life, the textured, surprising, quietly extraordinary version of it, is waiting for you on the other side of a screen you set down. If something in this video hit different for you, if it felt like it was speaking to something you've been carrying around for a while, subscribe. Because this is what this channel is built for, understanding yourself clearly, without all the noise. We'll see you in the next one.